there, and welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today. You know, one of the biggest challenges folks face as they approach retirement is figuring out how to create a reliable income stream, right?
Absolutely, Emily. It's really crucial to have a solid plan in place to ensure you can enjoy your retirement without financial stress.
Exactly. Today, we're diving into something that can really make a difference in your retirement planning. That's how to build an income ladder.
Yeah, the idea of an income ladder is pretty powerful. It's all about diversifying your income sources so you can have that peace of mind.
We'll talk about different strategies for generating income, like Social Security, annuities, and other investments.
And we'll also touch on how to assess your personal needs and risk tolerance, which is really important for tailoring your retirement plan.
Plus, we'll discuss some common pitfalls to avoid so you can feel more confident in your decisions.
Right, and the goal is to help everyone out there feel more secure about their financial future.
So whether you're just starting to plan or already in retirement, we've got some valuable insights coming your way.
Let's get into it and explore how you can start building that income ladder for your retirement.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Emily, as we dive into why building an income ladder in retirement is so crucial right now, let's think about the current economic landscape. You know, so many people are facing uncertainty with inflation still hovering around, 5 to 6%?
Right, that's a big deal. It's like, even if you've saved well, the purchasing power of your savings can really take a hit. I mean, you can have a solid nest egg, but if prices keep rising, it can feel like you're treading water, can't it?
Exactly. And with market volatility, it's even more pressing. Just look at the recent fluctuations in the stock market. People nearing retirement or already retired might feel anxious about their investments when they see big swings in their portfolios.
Yeah, and that leads to a real emotional side of things too. It's not just numbers on a page. It's their future. I've talked to retirees who've had to adjust their lifestyles because their investment returns weren't what they had hoped for. That stress can be overwhelming.
It really can. And then there's the issue of Social Security. With the ongoing discussions about its future, many folks are wondering how to factor that into their retirement plans. You know, can they rely on it? Will it be enough?
Totally. That uncertainty makes it even more important to have a diversified income plan. If Social Security is part of the picture, it shouldn't be the only piece. I remember speaking with a couple who had planned to rely heavily on it, but they realized they needed a backup plan to maintain their desired lifestyle.
Right. And speaking of lifestyle, let's not forget healthcare costs. They can be a huge drain on retirement savings. A recent study showed that a couple retiring today might need nearly $300,000 just for healthcare costs over their retirement. That's a staggering amount.
Wow, that's a lot. It's no wonder people are concerned about how to stretch their retirement funds. It's like, if you don't plan for those expenses, they can eat away at your income pretty quickly.
Exactly. And what about legacy planning? Many retirees want to leave something behind for their children or grandchildren. But if they don't have a solid income strategy in place, they might find themselves in a position where they can't leave the legacy they envisioned.
That's true. I spoke with a woman recently who was worried about passing on her family home to her kids, but was also concerned about her own financial security. She didn't want to sacrifice her own comfort for the sake of providing for her children.
That's a common struggle, and it highlights why it's so vital to create a plan that addresses these multifaceted issues. We need to think about how to build an income ladder that not only provides for immediate needs, but also accommodates future expenses and aspirations.
Right. So, when you put all these factors together, like inflation, market volatility, healthcare costs, and legacy planning, it becomes crystal clear why a well-structured income strategy is essential now more than ever.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think about people who might be hesitant to start this process, thinking they can wait a few more years. But with economic trends shifting so quickly, that could be a risky gamble.
Yeah, it's like the earlier you start, the more time you have to adjust and adapt your strategy. I remember a couple who were in their early 60s. They didn't think they needed to worry too much just yet. But after sitting down and really discussing their goals and concerns, they realized they could benefit from starting their income ladder sooner rather than later.
That's a great point. It's all about taking proactive steps. And let's not forget about tax efficiency. The tax landscape is always changing, and planning for it as part of your income strategy can save a significant amount over the years.
Definitely. It's like if you can minimize taxes on your withdrawals, that can really boost your overall income. And I think that's something people often overlook until it's too late.
Exactly. And with all the shifts happening in retirement accounts and regulations, having a solid strategy can help you navigate those changes with more confidence.
So, in light of all these factors, economic uncertainties, healthcare costs, and the desire to leave a legacy, it's clear that building an income ladder isn't just a nice to have. It's a must-have for anyone looking to secure their future and find peace of mind in their retirement years.
Yes, and it's about creating a reliable income stream that can adapt to changes over time, allowing retirees to enjoy their retirement without financial stress.
I think this sets us up perfectly to discuss some core strategies for building that income ladder. What do you say we dive into those next?
So, Emily, when it comes to building that income ladder in retirement, one of the first things we should talk about is asset allocation. It's really about how you mix different types of investments to balance risk and reward.
Right. And I know a common rule of thumb is the 70-30th portfolio, which suggests that retirees should have about 70% of their assets in stocks and 30% in bonds.
Exactly. The idea is that stocks can provide growth, which is important because, you don't want your money to just sit there and lose purchasing power over time due to inflation. Bonds, on the other hand, can offer stability and income.
That makes sense. So if someone has, let's say, $1 million saved up, they might consider having $700,000 in stocks and $300,000 in bonds?
Yes, and it's also important to remember that as you get older, you might want to gradually shift that allocation. Maybe you start at 70/30ths in your 60s, but by your 70s, you could shift to something like 60/40ths or even 50/50, depending on your risk tolerance.
Speaking of risk tolerance, how does that play into choosing specific stocks or bonds?
Great question. If you're more risk averse, you might lean towards dividend-paying stocks or more stable blue chip companies. For bonds, you might prefer government or high-quality corporate bonds. If you're okay with a bit more risk, you could consider growth stocks or even some international exposure.
And that brings us to tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs, right?
Absolutely. These accounts are crucial because they can help your investments grow without the immediate tax burden. With a 401k, for example, you're deferring taxes until you withdraw, which can be beneficial if you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement.
And then there's the Roth IRA, where you pay taxes up front, but your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
Exactly. If you anticipate being in a higher tax bracket later on, the Roth could be a better choice, especially if you're younger and have time for that money to grow.
So if someone is in their 40s and thinking about retirement, they might really want to focus on contributing to a Roth IRA, right?
Yes, and it's also about maximizing contributions while you can. For 2023, you can contribute up to $6.500 to a Roth IRA or $7.500 if you're over 50.
Those catch-up contributions can really make a difference, can't they?
They can. And let's not forget about Social Security. Deciding when to take Social Security benefits is another big piece of the puzzle. The longer you wait, up until age 70, the larger your monthly benefit will be.
Right, I think it's an 8% increase for each year you delay after your full retirement age.
That's correct. So if your full retirement age is 66 and you wait until 70, you could see a substantial increase. It's like a guaranteed return on your investment.
And for most people, that can mean several $100s more every month, which adds up over time.
It does. But, of course, you have to weigh that against your personal situation. If you need the income earlier, it might make sense to start taking it sooner, even if it means less money overall.
So then there's the withdrawal strategy to consider. This is where the 4% rule comes into play, right?
Yes. The 4% rule is a guideline suggesting that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without running out of money. So if you have $1 million saved, you could withdraw about $40,000 annually.
But that's not a one-size-fits-all solution, is it?
Not at all. It really depends on your own needs, lifestyle, and investment performance. Some people might find they need more or less than that, especially in the early years of retirement.
And that's why some folks prefer the bucket strategy, which segments your assets into different buckets based on when you'll need the money.
Exactly. You might have a short-term bucket for immediate needs, say the next 5 years of expenses in cash or short-term bonds. Then a second bucket for medium-term needs, like stocks for the next 10 years, and a long-term bucket for growth.
That way, you're not forced to sell investments at a low point just because you need the cash, right?
Right, and it gives you a lot more flexibility. Plus, it can help with emotional decision-making, which is crucial during market downturns.
So what about diversification? I think that's a critical strategy too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Diversification helps spread out risk across different asset classes, sectors, and even geographic areas. A well-diversified portfolio can better withstand market fluctuations.
And it's not just about stocks and bonds. Real estate can be part of that mix too, can it?
Yes, real estate can provide both income and potential appreciation. Rental properties or real estate investment trusts, REITs, can be great additions to a retirement portfolio.
But, of course, managing real estate comes with its own challenges, doesn't it?
It does. That's why some people choose REITs, which allow you to invest in real estate without the day-to-day responsibilities of being a landlord.
And you can also consider annuities. They can provide a steady income stream, but they can be complicated, right?
They can be. It's important to understand the terms and fees associated with annuities. Some can lock your money up for years, so they're not always the best fit for everyone.
So there's quite a bit to think about when building an income ladder in retirement.
Definitely. And while these strategies can be incredibly helpful, it's also essential to be aware of common pitfalls.
Exactly. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes people make when planning for retirement?
So, one of the most common pitfalls we see, Emily, is this thing called sequence of returns risk. It sounds complicated, but it's really about the order in which you experience investment returns during retirement.
Right, so if you hit a market downturn early in your retirement, that can really impact your savings, right?
Exactly. Imagine someone who retires right before a market crash. They start withdrawing money from their retirement accounts to live on, but their investments are also losing value. That can create a perfect storm.
I can see how that would be really concerning. Have you come across real-life examples of this?
Oh, definitely. I once worked with a couple. Let's call them Jack and Linda. They retired in 2008, right before the financial crisis. They had a solid nest egg, but because they were withdrawing funds while the market was tanking, they ended up depleting their savings much faster than they anticipated.
Wow, that's tough. So how could they have avoided that situation?
Well, ideally, they should have had a more diversified income strategy. It's crucial to have some cash reserves or less volatile investments to draw from during market downturns. That way, you're not forced to sell off assets at a loss.
That makes a lot of sense. What about taxes? I've heard people often overlook the impact taxes can have when they start withdrawing their retirement funds.
Absolutely. Taxes can eat into your withdrawals more than you might expect. Many retirees don't realize that if you withdraw from certain accounts, it can push you into a higher tax bracket.
So they might end up paying more in taxes than they planned just because of the timing of their withdrawals?
Exactly. I remember working with a woman named Susan. She was very focused on her investments, but didn't think through the tax implications of her withdrawals. She started taking money from her traditional IRA without considering how that would affect her tax bill. It ended up costing her thousands in unnecessary taxes.
Ouch! That's significant. How can someone spot that risk early on?
The key is to have a well-thought-out withdrawal strategy. Look at your entire financial picture, including all sources of income. Consulting a tax professional can also help you understand the best approach for your situation.
Got it. And what about healthcare costs? I know those can really add up in retirement.
They can, and it's often underestimated. Many retirees assume Medicare will cover most of their healthcare expenses, but that's not always the case. There are premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs that can really add up.
Right, and with people living longer, that can create a significant financial burden.
Exactly. Let's take the example of Tom and Carol. They both retired healthy, but within a few years, Tom developed a chronic illness. Their healthcare costs skyrocketed, and they hadn't budgeted for it. They ended up having to dip into their savings much more than they intended, which put a strain on their overall retirement plan.
So how can people better prepare for those unexpected medical expenses?
Planning for healthcare in retirement should be a priority. Consider purchasing long-term care insurance or setting aside a dedicated fund specifically for medical expenses. And, of course, staying informed about Medicare options is crucial too.
That's a great point. Now, what about asset allocation? I've heard that can be a major factor in how well a retirement plan holds up over time.
Definitely. Many retirees stick with an asset allocation that worked for them during their working years without considering that their risk tolerance changes in retirement.
So they might be too aggressive or too conservative?
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him Mike, who was still heavily invested in stocks. He was convinced he could ride out the volatility like he did in his 30s, but when the market dipped, he panicked and sold at a loss.
That's a classic mistake. What should he have done instead?
Regularly reviewing and adjusting your asset allocation is key. As you age, you might want to shift toward more stable investments. It's about finding that right balance that aligns with your risk tolerance and income needs.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about Social Security? I've heard that claiming too early can be a mistake as well.
Absolutely. Claiming Social Security early can reduce your benefits significantly. It's tempting, especially if you're in need of income, but delaying your benefits can lead to a much larger monthly payout later on.
Have you seen this happen with people?
Yes, I had a couple, Greg and Pam, who claimed their benefits at 62 because they were eager to start enjoying their retirement funds. They didn't realize that by waiting until their full retirement age, they could have increased their monthly benefit by about 30%.
Wow, that's a big difference. How can someone determine the best time to claim?
It really depends on individual circumstances. Factors like health, financial needs, and life expectancy play a big role. It's worthwhile to run the numbers and see how different claiming ages impact your overall retirement income.
That's great advice. So as we wrap this section up, what are some key takeaways for listeners to avoid these common pitfalls?
Well, first, have a solid income strategy that accounts for the sequence of returns risk. Secondly, don't forget to factor in taxes when planning your withdrawals. And, of course, prioritize healthcare planning. Regularly review your asset allocation and consider the timing of your Social Security claim.
Those are all really actionable steps. It sounds like being proactive and informed can make a huge difference in retirement planning.
Absolutely. The more you know and plan ahead, the better your chances of enjoying a comfortable retirement.
What's next for our listeners who might be feeling overwhelmed by all this information?
It's all about taking small, manageable steps. Start by reviewing your financial plan with a professional if you haven't already, and don't hesitate to ask questions. Being informed is a powerful tool in retirement planning.
That's a perfect note to transition into our next section. Let's dive into some actionable strategies for building that income ladder effectively.
So let's dive into some immediate steps our listeners can take to start building that income ladder in retirement.
Absolutely, David. I think the most important thing is to have a plan, right?
Exactly. One of the first things I'd recommend is to sit down and review your current portfolio. You want to ensure that your investments align with your retirement goals. A good rule of thumb is to check in on your portfolio at least quarterly.
Right. And there are some really handy tools out there. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer retirement calculators that can help you project your income needs.
Yes, and these calculators can give you a clearer picture of how much you'll need to withdraw each year, based on your expected expenses and sources of income.
Plus, you can use resources like SSA.gov to estimate your Social Security benefits. It's a good idea to know what to expect from that source.
Exactly. And don't forget about tax implications. Using tax software can help you understand how your withdrawals will affect your tax situation. It's all about maximizing your income while minimizing your tax burden.
That's a great point. And speaking of tools, there are also some really useful financial planning apps out there. Have you tried any, David?
I have, actually. Apps like Mint or Personal Capital can help track your spending and investments, giving you a holistic view of your financial situation. It's a great way to stay organized.
Yeah, I love how those apps can help you identify areas where you might save more or invest better. It's like having a personal financial assistant.
Absolutely. Another habit to form is running those retirement projections regularly. Every few months, take a look at how your investments are performing and whether you need to adjust your strategy.
It's kind of like a health check for your finances, isn't it?
Exactly. And don't forget to review your withdrawal strategy as well. As you adjust your income needs, it's important to decide how much to take out from each account.
And, of course, those accounts may have different tax implications. So keeping that in mind can really help you optimize your withdrawals.
Right, and if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, consider seeking the help of a financial advisor. A good advisor can help you navigate all these aspects and tailor a plan that works for you.
That's so true. And for those who prefer to dig into information on their own, there are some excellent books and podcasts out there. Do you have any favorites, David?
Oh, definitely. I always recommend The Boglehead's Guide to Retirement Planning. It's straightforward and packed with practical advice. And for podcasts, The Retirement Answer Man has some really engaging content.
Those are great suggestions. And it's worth noting that it's never too late to improve your plan. Whether you're just starting out or you're already in retirement, making small changes can have a big impact.
Exactly, Emily. Every little step counts. And the sooner you start, the more time you'll have to adjust and refine your strategy.
For sure. So, listeners, we've talked about some actionable steps, tools, and resources you can use right away. It's all about taking that first step.
And remember, building your income ladder is a journey, not a sprint. You can always adapt and grow your plan as needed.
With these tools in your pocket, you're ready to strengthen your retirement plan. Let's recap what we've covered today.
Well, Emily, as we wrap up today's discussion on building that income ladder in retirement, I think we've really hit on some key takeaways.
Absolutely, David. One of the big points was the importance of diversifying your income sources, right? It's not just about one stream. Having multiple can really provide stability.
Yes, and then there's the idea of starting early. The sooner you begin to plan and build your income ladder, the more options you'll have available when you retire.
Exactly! And I loved how we talked about the role of Social Security. It can be a safety net, but it shouldn't be your only plan.
Right, and let's not forget about the significance of understanding your expenses. Knowing what you need to cover can help you determine how much income you really need to generate.
Yes, and that ties into the importance of adjusting your strategy over time. As your needs and circumstances change, so should your approach to income generation.
Well said, Emily. It's all about being proactive and adaptable,
For sure. And as we finish up, I just want to remind everyone that building and protecting your retirement wealth is a journey. It takes time and thoughtful planning, but it's so worth it.
Absolutely. Every step you take today can lead to a more secure future.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and let us know your biggest takeaway or a question you might have in the comments. And don't forget to share this with someone who's planning for or is already in retirement.
A little support can go a long way for those in similar situations, right?
Definitely. And next time, we'll dive into how to choose low-risk investments for retirement. It's going to be another insightful conversation.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, and we'll see you next time.